Hey everybody, what's up? We have got Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man Artist Edition from IDW. Santa delivered, let's just say that. So this bad boy, look at that, glorious. The size of this thing is nuts. So here's a regular comic size, and this guy, let's just measure him up here. He is 21 by 14 and a quarter. So man, this is a big, glorious book. Basically what it is it's scans of his original pages. If you're into Todd McFarlane, which you should be, obviously, he's one of my favorite artists. I grew up on him. He's a big, he's a legend in my opinion. He was breaking all the rules, and yeah, he's a force, man. So here's Art of Todd McFarlane. If you're just a regular comic head, this is probably good enough, you know? This has a lot of really great stuff. It's from Image. It's very cool. Check it out. It's got a ton of his work, a lot of like toy stuff, just everything that he, like it spans his career, right? Whereas this guy in particular, this is purely for people who are going to be into art specifically. And holy man, if you thought you liked Todd McFarlane before, you're going to lose your mind looking at this thing, man. It is just absolutely crazy. The size of it is unreal, and seeing the blue pencil underneath the inks is absolutely incredible. I'm going to open this guy up and just, here you go. These things, like I said, are kind of pricey. So, but here we go. Price of admission. There you go. That's it. There you go. That first opening end page, this spread of Hulk and Spidey, it's just, that's worth the price of admission right there. Look at this kind of the water color stuff on there, the marker that's all faded, and man, is it great. It's so cool to see the roughness and the looseness of his work. And it's wild, man. It's all over the place. This guy has his own kind of anatomy going on. You could say in a way that he's the epitome of style over substance, whatever that's supposed to mean. But this guy just rocked comics, and he is a record-breaking dude. And just debris and explosions and this kind of stuff, the level of detail that he added was just unreal. And took it to a totally different level at the time when everyone was kind of doing this square stuff. He was the cool guy, the cool Canadian guy who came in and just like shook everything up with a lot of the other 90s guys. So let's fast forward. Let's go all past all the sequential stuff. Yeah, actually, let's just go to the end page. There you go. That's it. I mean, is there anything cooler than that? Seeing the lettering too, holy cow. Unbelievable. Talk about a lost art, just that classic lettering, absolutely beautiful. The other thing that's surprising too is the looseness of his pencils. I get it if he's inking himself, which he should be. He's always best when he's inking himself, right? But the looseness of his pencils is crazy, and it's just the confidence that he's got going over top of it. And it's great to see this kind of funk going on. I'm guessing he's using a lot of quill pens. I'm guessing like Hunt's mapping points, this kind of stuff. But it's just really great to see how he's not precious about stuff. It's like it's high energy, and you can totally feel it. Absolutely love it. I'm going to go straight to the covers because honestly, that's my favorite stuff with this whole thing. Going to the covers, and it's what these are. As you can see, they're scans of the original pages, like the original blue line pages. I've got a couple here. This is Cruel Punishment. I'm going to put my own work on top so you can get the idea. So here's some. This is an old project. It's pretty shit. So anyway, you can get the idea. It's the actual scans of his pages, and let's get this shit out of there. So here we are. It's the actual scans, and it's so cool to see. Not only just like the notes and stuff like that, but you get to see so much process. And especially with the interior pages, I'll get to that later. With the interior stuff, you really see how crap the print quality was. And here you are seeing this stuff in all its glory. It's just as cool as it gets. So here's, I'll bring it up. So here's the actual comic from back in the day. And then you've got the original art. And honestly, it looks so much better in black and white. It's funny. It's the old coloring is just, man, it's just not that great. And seeing the stuff in black and white, it works so well. He really had a killer understanding, or has, I shouldn't say had. He really has a killer understanding of just black and white art and what looks good and what balances stuff nicely. You know, and you kind of lose some of that with the color in a way. You kind of lose a little bit of that magic. Really good examples coming up here. That's such a goofy thing, man. Hydra Man. Anyway, this is absolutely one of my favorites here. This is just classic. Man, yeah, look at that. How cool is that? Killer. And again, he's the master of just having smoke and debris. You know, if you notice his work, you never see feet. I think he hates drawing feet, so you never really see him. It's always just smoke and debris and rubble and this kind of stuff. Cleverly hiding feet. Here's an example of just unreal, like black and white balance composition stuff. Killer cover. You can tell that he got to spend a bit more time on the cover, or that he put more effort into the cover. Obviously, it's the cover, it's going to sell the book. But to me, that's why these are the highlights. It just really, it's a showcase of his best stuff. And this thing here is a good example, too, of just black and white versus color, man. This is where it's at. It's really cool too, seeing the cut lines in that. Just that old school hacking stuff together, photocopiers, glue stick, that kind of jazz. This guy, man, I can't even look at this cover anymore. I remember the day I bought this comic. I absolutely loved it. It blew my mind. I loved the squash and stretch here on Spider-Man. Just the whole way he's pushing himself up there and breaking apart the logo up at the top. This thing blew my mind when I was a kid. I mean, it still does now. But now I can't look at this without thinking about how this image is just Spider-Man punching the Hulk in the dick. That's all it is. And this is one of the highest selling covers of all time. I think on, like, auction-wise, it broke some crazy records. It's like hundreds of thousands of dollars it went for. And I just think now, it's like, man, it's Spider-Man punching Hulk in the nuts. And it's one of the highest selling pieces of art, pieces of comic art anyway, of all time. And it's a guy getting bagged. It's kind of funny. But man, is that ever cool. Love seeing this stuff. Really cool seeing how he like broke that up. And it's just, you know, it's just hack and slash comic making, man. Very, very cool. Get the original guy in there too. That green tongue, man. Interesting. But completes it. Brings it together. Ties it together. Ties it together with the logo and this. You've got like some 3-1-2 design going on there. So yeah, really, really interesting. Love it. Love it. And then we get into a self-titled Spider-Man book that he was given. Everyone's seen this. Really, really cool. Classic piece of art. I had this poster on my wall for years and years and years. If I could find one now, well, I'm sure I could. I really should. I should go pick one up, because every time I see this guy's work, I've just been leaving this thing open and flipping through it, and it's keeping me going, man. It's like, it's giving me fuel just looking at this stuff every day. It's getting me pumped. This and Mobius. That stuff. It's just, there's certain things that just makes you want to hit the drawing table. Yeah, awesome stuff. Really, really cool. And again, you can tell when he's writing this as well. I started to fall off actually with his Spider-Man. I love the art, but the writing was a little iffy to me because he's not so much of a writer. It's the same thing with Spawn. I was all in on Spawn for the first few issues, and then of course I fell off, but it doesn't detract from how much this stuff absolutely to this day blows my mind. And he gets a lot of flack. There's a lot of this kind of, a lot of the what do you call it, the new school, the new boring school of comics or whatever, they look back at these 90s guys and they poo-poo them because they're like, well, you know, kind of like know-it-all autistic YouTube. It's like these people that go in and are like, well, that's not the way a foot looks. That's not, no, that's wrong. You know, this kind of stuff. But it's like, yeah, but it's cool. This is cool. Look at how awesome that is. The energy level is just nuts. And it doesn't matter if it's right. What is right? It's a comic. Man, it's a comic. And yeah, look at that. This is so great. And again, the blue pencil, it's so interesting seeing, I mean, I'm sure a lot of it's like, he probably uses a kneaded eraser to remove the blue pencil, but still though, it's really rough. It's really interesting seeing how he just went at it. And this is the other weird thing too. When I'm looking at this, you know, I see faces like this is ganking. This is what that's weird, you know. That's weird to me. This is a little weird. This is weird. This is weird. But then right next to it, you've got Spider-Man, and he looks like he's never looked before. It's unbelievable. This guy was completely, totally born to draw Spider-Man. It's crazy to me. That's a really nice cover. Yeah, excellent book. And of course, this guy here. It's funny, Todd McFarlane has been popping up a lot in my world lately. I listened to a couple podcasts actually. He was on, I think his name is Tim Ferriss. He's done, he's kind of like one of these optimizing life guys, take your vitamins, work out, this kind of stuff. He was on a couple episodes of that. Really cool. Todd McFarlane's just a cool dude. He's such a great ambassador for comics. And I think right now there needs to be a bat signal sent out to bring Todd, not that he's ever left, but like, man, we need stuff like that. There's got to be guys like that have that rock star status to reinvigorate comics. And I think he's the guy to do it, or he's one of the guys to do it, because it just seems to really be lacking right now. But here you go. Here's, from this issue, you've got his crazy Hulk. I dug Todd McFarlane's Hulk. I think he does best when he's drawing stuff that isn't really human, where he can really play with it and get crazy. I mean, my favorite Hulk of all time is probably Dale Keown, but next to that, maybe not next, I don't know. In the top 5, you definitely got Todd McFarlane. I really dig the look that he gave him. And yeah, just the crazy anatomy and stuff. And I like the fakery. I love looking at his art, seeing the fakery. And by fakery, I mean, it's just he's doing what works. He's making stuff up. Vehicles are often weird and crazy. The cityscapes don't really make a lot of sense sometimes. The perspective gets a little bit wacky. Like this here, like this perspective is kind of whacked. It's like this down shot, but then he's in profile here. But you know what? It looks great. It looks really cool. Another thing in the 90s, guns made no sense. No idea what, I don't know why none of these guys had any reference for guns, but everything's this weird thing of tubes and cylinders and stuff. It's kind of cool. It's its own sort of language, but it's just something you notice when you kind of age and look back at stuff. Yeah, very cool. These IDW books, okay, I'm going to get sidetracked again, but here we go. Yeah, his women are interesting too. And it's funny. It's like Mary Jane is supposed to be this high fashion model, but like this stuff, right? Like, so she's a high fashion model, but like the outfits and stuff are so kind of goofy looking. And but yeah, I love it. He's just doing his own thing. I mean, look at that panel, that stretchiness of it. It's just, and these machines, these like the cameras there, it's kind of like, yeah, whatever, it's machinery, good enough, it works. And it does, and it totally does. I can see why a lot of contemporaries of his at the time were maybe like pissy that he had the career he did, because they'd look at it and they'd be like, oh, you know, I can draw women way better than this. Like John Buscema can draw women way better than than this. This is kind of weird, you know. But at the same time, he was doing this. I mean, and how cool is that? So yeah, it's a really interesting time capsule. I'd recommend these IDW Artist Editions if you're really into like seeing comic art and stuff like that. It's a bit of money, but you could also look at it as they hold their value, because this is the age of low print runs. There's not a lot of these printed, and they don't really reprint them. So when they're gone, and people want them, and they don't always jump on them. I mean, I missed out on, say, the David Michelinie, Daredevil. And yeah, kind of regret it. That's a big regret. I love this cover, man. Look at that weird, freaky spider thing. And that's the cool thing that he did. It's like, well, I heard this like quote from him. He's talking about Spider-Man. He's like, I'm just going to take the man out of Spider-Man and just have him be a spider. And that's exactly it. That's exactly what he did. And that funky weirdness, he was no longer kind of this derpy, gee shucks, gee golly guy. He was something else. He was this insect. Really, really cool. Yeah, it's got, look at this spread here with Ghost Rider. Dope. Yeah. Really, really cool. And the black and white. I'm a sucker for black and white. I think a lot of times, good art has to work in black and white, and you see how good this is as black and white. It's like if it doesn't work black and white, it's not going to work, period. And if anything, the color sometimes just kills it. It sucks the life out of it a little bit. Yeah, really cool stuff. So yeah, big recommend if you can get your hands on it. But if not, check out that Art of Todd McFarlane one. So I'm just going to show you some here's some of the actual comic stuff from back in the day. And you look at it now, I don't know if it's coming across, but you've got registration issues, you've got weird color choices, you've got this sort of mushiness that happens with the newsprint. It looks great. It's got the feel, it's got the smell, which you can't get from anything digital, obviously. I mean, just the smell of it, it's got that very specific kind of thing. But it kind of looks bad. It's not the best presentation of the art. This is what I mean, man. Check that out. Look at Mary Jane. Oh, there you go. Yeah, fashion icon, apparently. I mean, it was the 90s, but this is some wild stuff. That is just wild. I don't know what's going on. Disco ball, very cool. I mean, he's just doing his own thing. You gotta respect it. It's like a guy who's just so. The Mary Jane thing is interesting to me because it just highlights that he is not interested in whatever cool is, what other people think cool is. He's like, I'm going to do what I think is cool, and it's going to be capes that look like that. And nobody was doing stuff like that. He's like, I think that looks cool. Let's give this guy some crazy ponytail thing that's going all over the place, and let's just push everything all the way and see what happens. And yeah, you got to give him props. He was driving in all the lanes, I guess. Very cool. So yeah, there you go. That is Todd McFarlane's Artist Edition. It's good stuff. Big thumbs up, obviously. Seeing the evolution, too, as I'm getting towards the start here, getting into his earlier Spider-Man stuff. And the thing is, this does all focus on Spider-Man. So the progression that you get, like going from the early stuff to the later stuff, you really see a development. Like this stuff it's not that it's weak. It's still really good. But you get, you can kind of see here, it's like a little, he's kind of working through stuff. Or, maybe he was busy. But you go from that to that, and you can really see just, say that detail on the donut there. I mean, he's getting to another level and really coming into his own. It's getting a lot darker, too. You can tell that kind of he's grabbing the wheel a little bit more and getting darker and darker. A lot more bloody, this kind of stuff, black borders, black gutters and stuff like that around the panels. I don't think anyone was doing that. Like in the mainstream anyway. Nobody was really doing that stuff at Marvel that I knew of. Not to this kind of degree, where you've got like Spider-Man looking like that. That's crazy. So there you go. All right, everybody. I'm going to leave it with this end page. Look at that. There, man. Cool. So thanks for coming by. I don't know what's next. We'll see. Stick around. Like and subscribe. Helps the algorithm, all that kind of jazz. Yeah. Comic art. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Legend. Thanks, guys. See you later.
There is a way.